You know that feeling when you look at a kid's toy and something just feels a little off? Like a little shiver runs down your spine? Well, it turns out some of the most innocent-looking things can hide some seriously dark secrets. Today, we're diving into the terrifying story of one such object, a toy that became a massive, modern urban legend.
It really all boils down to one question, doesn't it? How much chaos and horror can you actually pack into one tiny, smiling toy? It sounds kind of ridiculous, right? But the answer, as this story's about to show you, is a whole lot more than you could ever imagine.
The story we're going to unpack sparked a wave of fear that was so intense, so real, that the panic went way beyond just a scary internet tale. I mean, it got to the point where several countries reportedly took the pretty extreme step of banning these dolls completely.
And it didn't even stop with government action. People became so genuinely terrified of these little figures in their own homes that they started calling in spiritual backup. Yeah, we're talking about priests being asked to perform exorcisms on the dolls themselves.
Now, what's really wild here is that this wasn't just some isolated incident. This was a massive, worldwide wave of panic. Stories and reports started pouring in from all corners of the globe, turning a single spooky story into a true global phenomenon. So you have to ask, how on earth did it all start?
Well, to answer that, we've got to go back, right back to the very beginning. Our story kicks off in Shanghai with a young woman, a passionate collector, who had absolutely no idea she was about to become patient zero for a viral nightmare.
Her name was Min, and by all accounts, she was just a sweet person, living a pretty simple, happy life. She was a huge doll collector, like super passionate about it, and she shared her apartment with her best friend in the entire world, her amazing dog, Bao. So one day, a super limited edition collection of labubu dolls comes into the toy shop where she worked. They sell out almost instantly, but of course, Min had already snagged one for herself. And this one, it was special. A beautiful, unique golden color, with these big, innocent-looking blue eyes, and a cute, toothy smile. For Min, it was the perfect find. So of course, she's thrilled. She brings her new prize home to introduce it to Bao. And this is where we see the first major red flag. See, with all her other dolls, Bao was just a happy, tail-wagging camper. But the second he saw this golden labu, it was like a switch just flipped inside him. He started barking like crazy, growling aggressively. All that happiness just vanished. Min, she just brushed it off. She figured Bao was just having a weird day. So she put the doll on a shelf and didn't think anything of it. Little did she know, the curse was already starting to sink its teeth in. The next 48 hours were a total downward spiral. It started with Bao just going nuts, barking at the doll. Then, things took a turn for the worse at Min's job. Min, who was usually super gentle, completely snapped at a customer and got fired right there on the spot. That night, she heard this strange laughter in her house, had a horrifying nightmare, and then woke up screaming to find the labubu doll sitting right on her chest. Her scream sent Bao bursting into the room, and he just lost it. He tore that doll to absolute shreds. Min was totally shaken, but also, relieved. She swept up the pieces, threw them away, and figured the nightmare was finally over. But when she woke up the next morning, that relief was gone. Her head was pounding, and when she looked at her hands and her face, they were covered in these weird little red marks, almost like bite marks. So she stumbles into the bathroom, looks up in the mirror, and her blood just turns to ice. There, on the shelf, sitting perfectly fine, was the golden labubu doll. It was completely intact, and its smile, it didn't look cute anymore. It looked evil. At this point, full-blown panic sets in. She starts screaming for her dog, for Bao, but he's nowhere to be found. And then she walks into the kitchen and sees the doll again, just sitting there by the sink. But something was different. Its little golden hands and that big toothy smile, they were stained with something fresh and dark and red. Min looks down, and her entire world just collapses. It was Bao. He'd been brutally attacked. This wasn't some psychological game anymore. The threat was lethal. So now, Min knew. She was dealing with something supernatural. Something she had to destroy, for good. But as tragic as her story was about to become, it was really just the beginning of something much, much bigger. Min was taking zero chances. She took the doll outside and set it on fire, watching it burn until there was nothing left but a pile of ash. But she didn't stop there.
She carefully collected all the ashes, sealed them up in a glass jar, and then drove to a river and hurled the jar into the deep water. Surely that had to be the end of it.
But some curses, well, they don't break that easily. The next morning, Min was found dead in her home. And sitting right there beside her, looking just as perfect and cheerful as the day she first brought it home, was the golden labubu doll. Her story was posted online, and it just exploded.
And here's the crucial part. What happened next? After Min's story went viral, reports of haunted labubu dolls started popping up everywhere. And what's so creepy is how similar the stories were. People reported their dolls literally biting them, followed by some sudden misfortune, losing a job out of the blue, a sudden serious illness, or even the death of a pet or a relative. A clear and terrifying pattern was emerging. So naturally, as the legend got bigger, so did the theories. People needed an explanation for where all this evil was coming from, and they started digging, looking for an origin story.
With the legend growing bigger by the day and the reports piling up, people all over the world started asking the exact same question. Where did this evil come from? And eventually, they started whispering a name from ancient mythology.
Pazuzu. We're talking about an ancient evil demon king from mythology, the kind of entity known for bringing famine, disease, and just general misfortune. The theory that took hold was that this ancient being had found a brand new, innocent-looking vessel to do its dirty work in the modern world.
So that brings us right to the heart of this modern legend, doesn't it? It's the big question that lingers over this entire phenomenon, the one that separates a scary story from a terrifying reality.
What is the real story here? Is the labubu doll a genuinely cursed object, a real-life vessel for an ancient evil that poses an active threat to anyone who owns one? Or is this whole thing just a wild example of viral internet hysteria, a scary story that went global, where the real threat isn't the doll itself, but the fear of the doll?
It really makes you think, though. It leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question. I mean, look around your own room right now. What perfectly innocent thing is sitting on a shelf somewhere, just one scary story away from becoming a total nightmare?